Rock till you die. Rock till you die. You die all alone and turning to bone. So rock till you die. 1, 2, 3, 4, rock!
My dear Mrs. Brown, as you can tell, this is a replica of the Hearst Castle pool.
Impressive.
It should be. I believe that's the reason we're looking for a mortgage.
Oh, that's so pretty.
The Countess spent over $22 million building this pool.
Oh, you have a countess.
Yes, I do have a countess. About a Mr. Brown. Is there a Mr. Brown?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. I'm so sorry to hear that. So, Mrs. Brown, you're Mrs. Brown, lovely daughter by yourself. Anyway, so this is our pool. See the angel? They're a replica of the David angels. And the pool is, heated. It's 80 degrees all year long. But I don't know why she built it because, we had skeletons in the pool. But you're welcome to come and use it. Bring your bikini and use the pool anytime. Bring your friends, we'll have a pool party. So, this is a pool room.
Very kind of you.
And I can show you the conservatory. We have a greenhouse, a gigantic green conservatory.
Mm-hmm.
We can show you that.
Okay.
And we have, or we can go to Marie Antoinette's room. That we have actually Marie Antoinette's room where she was waiting before she was guillotined in the French Revolution. If you want to see that, that's the real room. We transported it here from France, from the Bastille.
Okay.
That's a real historical thing. And this house has 800 rooms. 800 rooms.
800?
Yes, 800 rooms.
Oh.
And you see, that's also why we need a reverse mortgage, because it costs a lot of money for the upkeep. Do we have it?
It must.
Well, actually, we're working on an army of dead maids, so they won't cost anything because they don't eat. They don't eat at all. They're all dead. You know I'm dead, don't you? Don't look at me like that. It's so thank you, Mrs. Brown. You're really nice. You're really nice. So should we go about Marie Antoinette? Would you like to see Marie
Show
Antoinette?
me some more.
Okay, we're going to Marie Antoinette.
So this is Marie Antoinette's bed?
Yes, this is her bed, where she slept before she was guilty.
Wow.
So it's brought from the Bastille.
Wow, that's amazing.
She, there's a lot of history in this room. And we did a music video in this room.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of our music video from our band?
No, I
The Calavera Skeleton Band. We have a lot of videos. Yes, you should.
Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yes, and actually, this is all the stuff that she had, all her utensils, the basin, the bars on the window. She looked out of that window before that fateful morning. She could see the scaffold being built from that window. She couldn't do anything. As a matter of fact, we have seen Marie Antoinette come through our portal. We try to ask her if she wanted to be one of our ghosts, get her a skeleton, but she won't talk to us. Sometimes she just carries her head, so, I think she's still traumatized by this whole guillotine thing.
Oh, Count Calavera, please.
1, 2, 3, 4!